Good morning, Facebook. Gonna do that adjustment that I usually do. Good morning. So good to have everybody here today. Oh my goodness, excuse me. Um, on this very fall feeling morning here in South Central Michigan. I would say South Central. Some people say Southwest. Well, whatever. For those of you that don't know me, my name is Gail. I am a bookseller here at New Story Community Books. We are a new and used bookstore that is located in downtown Marshall, Michigan, and we specialize in providing the highest quality that we can of new and used books for our customers, and then celebrating everything that is fandom and literary related. We just love getting books and getting merchandise into hands of people who will appreciate them and will keep telling the stories that those books and that those not genres, what's the word, those franchises, I guess you could say, want to keep on telling. And so we are able to ship also throughout the entire U.S. So even if you are not in downtown Marshall or in the local area, you can still support us. You can order through our website, and you can order both new and used books from our store. Anything that is any orders that are over $40 ship for free throughout the entire continental U.S. And then local delivery, we also do some local delivery to some Calhoun County areas. So check out our website. Our website has all of the zip codes that qualify for local delivery, and we do free local delivery for orders that are over $35 pre-tax. So we just have lots of different ways of getting people the books and the items that they will appreciate regardless of their interests. So for today, because it's finally feeling like fall, I know in Michigan it's kind of been up and down recently, it's finally feeling like fall consistently, however you think that is good or bad. And we are going to be celebrating some of that with some spooky themes, I guess you could say, over the next couple of weeks with our lives. Oh my goodness, excuse me. Recovering from some unpleasant respiratory things, but we're all good. We're all good now. So today I'm going to be showcasing for you all some books that are typically geared towards middle readers or advancing readers, as we sometimes call them. So those would be upper elementary to middle school readers, approximately. And then we're also going to be featuring some books that are for young adult, that are geared towards young adults. So those would be typically teen readers, but they can be enjoyed by anybody. When I was pulling books for this live, there were a couple that I remembered from my childhood, and they brought back all the memories, all the fond memories of reading them when I was a kid, and I would love to reread them just so I can enjoy them over again. So I'm just going to be showcasing those books to you, talking a tiny bit about each one. And if you have anybody in your life that you would be interested in purchasing any of these books for, you can always check out our link that should be in the description of this video. However, I will caution you, our website's been having some issues this morning, so do not panic if it is not working right now. The list and the website will be up will be up later. We're working on that. I'm not the techie human, so techie person is on it right now. And it should be up later on. Hopefully it's later on today for you to be able to shop. But you can always reach out to us. You can send us a message on Facebook. You can call our store. You can send us an email, and we would be more than happy to put books aside for you and get those all set up for you. So if you'd like, while we're doing this video live, you can comment down below, and I'll answer questions that we've got or that you've got while live and give you more information. I can always set books aside for you as well during our live. And if you are watching this on replay, you can, like I said, reach out to us for any of the books you're interested in. I also encourage you, please, if you know anybody who might be interested in this subject matter, so that could be parents, teachers, just kids themselves, right? Please like this video, tag people in comments, share this video with people so we can get the word out about these really cool books that we have in store, and get more kids and other people excited to read some of these spooky season tales. So without further ado, let's get started. So I grabbed a couple of books because this is a mini stack, because I remember when I was a kid, I was never really into a lot of the spooky books, but a lot of my friends were, and I remember them reading the scary stories to tell in the dark. And even when I see those now, I've got just the fond memories of growing up and of reading some of those stories and having my friends really enjoying those and appreciating those too. And so we do have some of those books in store, but I wanted to show you some, I would say necessarily updated, but some newer versions, I that would be in a similar vein for anybody who likes those short stories, not a full-on book, but a short story that has this little bit of mystery, a little bit of spookiness, maybe a little bit of paranormal as well, that are geared towards kids who are in the upper elementary range and also in middle school. So one of those I wanted to pull out that's in the same vein. Oops, put it over here. I'm going to put this way, in the same vein as Scary Stories to Tell in the Dark is Hide and Don't Seek, and Other Very Scary Stories by Annika Mrose Risi. Let me see, how many does this say this has? Does it say how many it's got for me? It has 20. It has 20 short stories within this. It's not a very thick book, so they are pretty short stories, so they can hold interest. These would be great if you've got kids that like to have spooky stories read to them right before they go to bed. If they're one of those kids, this would be a great option for you. Another one in the same type of vein is Out to Get You, which is 13 stories by Josh Allen. And it does have some illustrations as well within this that kind of go along with it, which is why it brought me all the vibes that go along with Scary Stories to Tell in the Dark, because those had illustrations as well. He also wrote Only If You Dare, which is another book that's similar to this, which has another 13 stories. So this would be another book that if you've got people that are interested in Scary Stories to Tell in the Dark, check out To Get You by Josh Allen. And another one, this was just absolutely beautiful, and I said I'm not going to talk a ton about it, but I wanted to show it. The Sister Who Ate Her Brothers and Other Gruesome Tales. That sounds real spooky to me, and I love the cover art. Like, look how gorgeous that is. This is by Thames and Hudson is the publisher. It's by Jen Campbell, and it's illustrated by Adam De Sousa. And so when I was picking this up, it's hardcover. It's got like a page marker, like a little fabric bookmark. But when you look at this, it has beautiful and terrifying illustrations within this. So these are also short stories, illustrated, so these would be great if you've got anybody who likes the spooky stories. And I love that these are fairy tales from around the world, like the picture that I showed you. I believe that was set in India. Got ones that are set in I think in more Arctic type regions, right, based on some of the pictures. But these would be great for people who like world spooky stories from different cultures. So check out Sister Who Ate Her Brothers. I found this book on the shelf and I literally went, oh my goodness, when I found it, because I remember reading through this entire series when I was a kid. So it's been out for a little bit, but that doesn't mean that it doesn't still have a story to tell. I remember absolutely loving the Bunnicula series, which also has like the Holiday Inn book series. So this would be great for those kids that are, I think probably about third grade-ish, would be great for this. Their chapter books are not terribly thick, and they do have some illustrations as well, but I absolutely love this. So these books are all by Deborah and James Howe, and they all follow the story of a rabbit that might be a vampire, might not. See if you can catch him in the act. But it's told from this perspective of a cat and a dog, Chester and Harold, who live in a family that adopts this rabbit with some very strange markings that they found when they went to go watch a very spooky movie. And the rabbit might be a little bit nefarious, but I remember loving this series. So if you have any kids that are interested in spooky stuff but don't necessarily want to be scared too much, and like a little bit of humor as well, check out the Bunnicula series by Deborah and James Howe. Like I said, I saw this and I said I need to reread these because one, it'll be very quick, but two, I remember just absolutely loving these when I was a kid. So if you're also into, or if you've got any kids or any people who are interested in reading books that have some spooky themes but won't necessarily scare the pants off of anybody, I picked out a couple of books that go along with that too. So another one that I found that's a relatively recent release is Ghost Squad, by Claribel A. Ortega. And so this is a ghosty story, as the title implies. So we have our heroine, Lucy Luna, and her best friend, Sid. They are young kids, and they accidentally cast a spell that awakens some malicious spirits in their Florida hometown. And so with Sid's grandmother, who happens to have some magical abilities, they set out to try to capture all of those malicious spirits and to return their town. to the happy place that it once was. I love that it also features a more diverse cast than some traditional ghosty stories. So if you are interested in a lighthearted ghosty tale, check out Ghost Squad by Claribel A. Ortega. I wouldn't necessarily call this a classic, but this author has been very prolific and has written a lot of really great, some spooky and some more fantasy based stories. And so I was excited to find that we still had one of these in stock. So I pulled Holly Black's Doll Bones. It has won several awards because it is very well written. And it is just a fun little book. I would say this one would be good for definitely for middle schoolers, possibly some higher flying upper elementary. Upper elementary kids, just because it is a little bit of a lengthier read, and it has a little bit more intricacy in the story. So it's a really good book about growing up and when do you not become, or when do you move past things that are considered childish, and do you ever need to do that? So it follows three friends, Poppy, Zach, and Alex. They used to play a game where they would use their imagination and they created a magical realm with pirates and with thieves and mermaids and all of these things. But then when they get to middle school, then one of their fathers kind of poo-poos all of that and says you can't do magical and you can't do imaginary things, you've got to grow up. So the kids try to go about that. But however, then one of their group starts having some dreams about the queen who was in their magical realm, and starts having some dreams about the ghost of a girl who will not rest until a doll that is a part of their group has been buried with her. So the three friends set out to try to put this all to rest, but it's also they're working through is this real? Is this not real? What should we do now that we're getting older? I loved the themes that are within this book, and Holly Black, like I said, is a great author. I know it's listed down here, it's kind of hard to read, but she also was part of the Spiderwick Chronicles a duo, she and Tony Detrolazini, lots of Z's and lots of Di's and T's and very Italian last name. But check out Doll Bones if you would like kind of a story that not only goes into some spooky stuff, but also has some growing up and some deeper themes within it. We get lots of families and lots of kids that come in and they want to start a new store or a new series because they really like spooky books and they want to be kept entertained for a while and follow a series. And I was excited to find this was one that was kind of new for me. That when I was looking through the shelves, I was like, oh, this sounds really interesting, and this would be a great one to recommend, especially to middle school students. So this is a new-ish series, I would say, and this would be great for anybody who likes who grew up with like R.L. Stein, went through Goosebumps and is now looking for something a little bit more mature. This is the Fright Watch series, and so the first book is called The Stitchers. It's by Lori and Lawrence, and it follows two friends. Excuse me. It follows two friends. So it follows a female heroine, Quinn. She's 13, and she lives in a neighborhood, and she's kind of has some suspicions about this. In this book, she has some suspicions about her neighbors because her neighbors don't seem to get any older. They don't seem to change. And so she's kind of trying to figure out why that's happening. So she teams up with her friend Mike, and they're trying to determine, what is it that's actually happening here? Is it something sinister, or is it something not necessarily sinister? And what kind of secrets are being held by their neighbors? So this is the first book in a series. I know we have the second book as well, and I cannot recall what it is called off the top of my head. But if you have some middle school readers who like spooky stuff and like some mysteries, and are looking to get into a new series, check out the Fright Watch series by Lori and Lawrence. So I'd mentioned R.L. Stein previously because I know Goosebumps has been a staple for many middle readers and upper elementary readers who like the spooky stories and spooky books. And I was excited that I found this one on the shelf. So we have a ton on our shelf. I'm not going to spend my time going through all of the books that we have for R.L. Stein, but we have a lot of R.L. Stein books on our shelves, and we can also order one. So if you are looking to fill out a collection or start a new series with R.L. Stein, because R.L. Stein's been super prolific with spooky and with creepy books for middle and elementary school students. Check out our website for more of those, but I'm going to talk about one today. So I found on our shelf, and it is signed, which was really cool. It's called Stein Tinglers, not Spine Tinglers, Stein Tinglers. And it's got a whole bunch of new stories from R.L. Stein, who wrote the Goosebumps. So these ones are another short stories, so kind of like the first books that I showcased here. But this has a lot of little short stories within it. So if you have anybody that you would like to introduce to R.L. Stein, potentially this would be a great story to pick up because then they can kind of get a feel for whether or not they would be interested in delving into other series with R.L. Stein. So one series that we've had in store that has been really a great seller for us and has some ties to Marshall itself is The House with the Clock in Its Walls. We are currently out of the first book in the series. It's been a lot more popular, especially since the movie came out a few years ago when we first opened the bookstore. And we enjoyed that excitement within the community. But we do have essentially the rest of the series, which was continued after the original author John Bellairs passed away. Brad Strickland, another author, teamed up, finished some of the unfinished books, and continued the series with the protagonist. So Figure in the Shadows was written by John Bellairs all by himself. This is the second book, so this is the follow-up after House of the Clock and Its Walls. So it follows Lewis, who is our protagonist in House of the Clock and Its Walls, and his friend Rosrita as they go on more adventures. They find more things and more creepy things and sinister things and magically things, paranormal things start happening to them. So for those of you that aren't familiar with House of the Clock and Its Walls, it's got our protagonist Lewis and his friend Rosrita, and in the first book they tackle some witchy, magic-y stuff that are trying to end the world and have all the terrible things occur at the end of the world, and so they have to try to stop that. So after that book ends, their story continues with a lot of other different stories. So if you have any kids that really like Harry Potter and are looking for another type of adventure, especially this is really great for upper elementary kids. I would say pretty good for middle school readers, though they may be wanting, depending on what their reading level is, they may be wanting something a little bit more depth. But this is a fun series that does have spookiness and has supernaturalness with it. Some other fun books, I just grabbed a couple to showcase some of the later ones. That these ones are written strictly by Brad Strickland, but they have the same. There we go. But they have the same main characters of Lewis and Rosrita. So Spectre in the Magician's Museum, which is right here, which I thought was kind of fitting for Marshall, considering the Magic Museum that we've got just down the street. And the Whistle, the Grave, and the Ghost. Sorry, I had to read them in order. It's hard for me to see with the shininess what those words were from my angle, right? So some spooky stuff that definitely is involved in that same series. So check out House of the Clock and Its Walls if you've got any middle readers that might be interested in that. Another really popular series and author that we have for kids that like some of those spooky stories. So they've gone through all of R.L. Stein, they've gone through Goosebumps, and they want something a little bit thicker and that are also fun, or not thicker necessarily, but a little bit more in depth and a little bit more challenging, I would say, as a reading level. Is our very own Michigan author of Jonathan Rand. So he is well known because he has written the Michigan Chillers series, which we have the majority of the series, and we can also order the series. And what's awesome is that we've got a connection with the author, and so we're able to get autographed and signed copies of the majority of his books. So if you're interested in a specific book to fill out a collection, let us know, and if we don't have it in stock, we'll see if we can get that for you. So we've got the Michigan Chillers. This is the very first book in that series, Mayhem on Mackinac Island. And they don't have to be read in order. They've got different protagonists in the different stories. So they're set in that city, which is kind of neat, and features a lot of the famous or the well-known features of that city are referenced throughout the books. So definitely check out Jonathan Rand. That's the first book in the series. I grabbed a couple that are more close to our region. Oops, let me move this direction. Okay, this direction. So I grabbed our Creepy Clowns of Kalamazoo, right, which is close to Marshall, or I would say it's close. I know where it's at, and I can get there really easily. And then we've got the Gruesome Ghouls of Grand Rapids. We also have both of those in stock. So if you're local and you're looking for something that will feature some local uh, um, landmarks, I guess you could say, in features, check out Jonathan Rand. He also was the author of the American Chillers series as well. So we've got Ogres of Ohio was the second book in that series. They do live below the bridge, guys, right? But so if you are interested in American Chillers, you can get those at our store as well, and we can also order them for you. So now that I've gone through ones that are books that are typically geared towards middle readers, I wanted to talk a little bit about some of the books that are geared towards young adults, which is kind of my bread and butter, because for those of you that don't know, I am also a secondary educator, and I love, my favorite thing in the world is helping young adults, helping kids, helping anybody, but really helping teenagers find books that are interesting to them. So I wanted to showcase a few for you as well of that. And one of those that I read, maybe a year ago, is The Firekeeper's Daughter by Angeline Booley. She is actually coming to Battle Creek within the next 2 weeks, 3 weeks. She will be in Battle Creek giving a talk about her book. This is her debut book. It is also a Reese's author book, or a book club pick, so it's gained some popularity, some notoriety, and I believe, I'm not sure where it's at in production, but I believe this was also picked up to be on a streaming service as a mini series. I want to say it was Netflix, but do not quote me on that. This one was interesting for me to read because it was set relatively close to where I grew up. This is set in Michigan. It's set in Sault Ste. Marie, Michigan, so pretty close to the Canadian border up in the Upper Peninsula. And it follows the story of Donis, who is she recently graduated. She was out of high school. A recently graduated girl she's half Native American and she is half white, and so that's something that is a constant theme that comes up, is how is she identified and who accepts her and what is acceptable for her to do based on how she's identified. But what is interesting about Adonis is that she has some significant knowledge of her Anishinaabe, or Native American, Ojibwe, excuse me, her some of the medical and healing practices, and she's got an extensive knowledge of plants that helps her out quite a bit, because she is roped into trying to solve a set of mysterious deaths in the area, and she happens to be connected to a lot of the people that are affected, which is a very interesting thing. There's lots of undercover things that happen within this book. It's just got a lot of, just when you think that things are resolved, then things are not. So I highly encourage you to check out this book, especially to check it out and pick up a copy before the author comes in to Battle Creek in the next couple of weeks. So if you have anybody in your life that really appreciates teen vampires, or who appreciated Twilight, and you're looking for something that has similar themes, a little bit of spookiness, but is a little bit more lighthearted than some of the things in Twilight, I got a book for you. So I was super excited that we still had this on the shelf. This is The Lost Girls by Sonia, I'm going to say it because I can't read from here, Sonia Hartle, I think. Yeah, Sonia Hartle. And so this is, it's got a lot of tongue-in-cheek and a lot of humor within this. So it's about a girl who, let me find her name, Holly. It's about a girl named Holly who, back in the 30s, I believe, she allowed her then boyfriend to change her and turn her into a vampire, because he's also a vampire, so they could live together and be happily ever after. And then he promptly dumped her. And so now she's immortal, and she's still living in present day, and trying to figure out how to keep on living, and she's still kind of trying to get back with him until she discovers that she wasn't the only girl that he did that to. And so now there's a whole slew of undead and unhappy young ladies who are all after this vampire boyfriend. Will they be successful in bringing him down and preventing him from being able to get others to fall into the we're going to be together forever, and then not that trope or that line, I guess you could say. So I would definitely check out, if you're looking for a vampire story that's got a little bit of humor, that also has a little bit of revenge within it, check out The Lost Girls by Sonia Hartle. So we're going to switch gears away from some of the, I would say, the paranormal, not so much the paranormal, and more into real lifey type spookiness for some of my, for some of the people that come in and they would like a spine tingling and a thriller book, but that doesn't necessarily have magical or paranormal or mystical anything within it. And so I wanted to pull up an author that I constantly recommend for anybody who wants a spooky book. So we've got Natasha Preston. This was I think this was her first book. This is The Cellar, and I know she's got The Cabin as well. We've got that on our shelf. But Natasha Preston does really good thrillers, especially for those that like the idea that someone has to escape from being held captive, and so that's essentially what's happening in this book. So we've got a girl, Summer, and she is abducted by a man who is calling her Lily and is claiming that she is Lily. And so she has to find a way to survive and has to try to find a way out. So if you are interested, or if you know anybody that's interested in this kind of theme, then I would definitely check out Natasha Preston's The Cellar, or anything else that Natasha Preston has written. She does some really good really well paced, I wouldn't say mystery, but like I said, thrillers. Another book that I was really intrigued, and now I have to add this one to my list, because when I found it on the shelf and read the cover or read the back cover and read what it was about, I decided that yes, this is going to be moved up on my list, even though I usually don't read spooky books, but I'm excited to recommend it. It's called The Mary Shelley Club. It's by Goldie Moldavsky. And so about this book, I love that it says up here, high school is a scream. Huh? Yeah, high school is something, guys. High school is something. So this is about a girl, Rachel, and she starts over at a new school. She's trying to outrun some, some ghosts, some not ghosty things, but some not necessarily great things from her past. And when she is there, she suddenly gets caught up in some pranks that are occurring within the school, and she thinks it at first as a way, to make friends and, to fit in. Then the pranks start getting a little bit out of hand, and she attracts the attention of the Mary Shelley Club, which is a society of students who create some really, really elaborate pranks, sometimes known as fear tests, that are inspired by movies, some of those slasher and horror movies, and that are inspired by urban legends throughout this. And so at first she really isn't appreciating that, and then things start getting a little out of hand. So one, as someone who loves classic literature, I loved the reference to Mary Shelley, who wrote Frankenstein, for those who may not know. And I also was super excited because when I check out I'm going to show you the back of the book. I checked out what it says also to read. It's The Lord of the Fly Fest, and that made me super excited. I'm like, oh my goodness, are all of her books going to be going to have connections to classic literature? And I am all for that. So I highly encourage, if you've got anybody who likes classic literature, who likes some of the horror and thriller type genre, and especially like that, getting wrapped up with pranks and teenagers and going through spooky things, check out the Mary Shelley Club. Another book that I was excited to find that we still had on our shelf is The Wicker King by Kay Ancrum. And I was excited to find this because I've noticed that quite a few of the books that we have on our shelves that are for spooky things, or that are kind of spooky and thriller and mystery within the young adult genre, typically have female heroines, or have female protagonists, not necessarily heroines, but protagonists. And this one I was excited that we had a couple that have male protagonists, because I think that's important too, to have representation in both of those areas. So this is about a friendship between two guys, August and Jack, and they've gone through a lot together. Their friendship has gone back a long time. They both have some interesting things in their past, but they found a kinship with one another. And then one of their clans, so then Jack starts having some really, really strong hallucinations about things that just don't seem to be they're not real. They don't seem to be real. And so August is going to try to help him with those hallucinations, to stop hallucinating and to deal with whatever is causing those hallucinations. And so they go on a quest to fulfill a prophecy that deals with some of those hallucinations and those visions, and things are a little bit more than what they bite off a little bit more than what they can chew. Let me just put it that way. So I highly encourage you, if you've got anybody who's looking for some friendship within the spookiness, some masculine representation within the spooky genre, check out K. Ancrum's The Wicker King. Another book that I was excited to find that also had that also had a male protagonist and didn't necessarily have some of the spooky-ish things that like I had in that I was referencing in the last book, but has more of the thriller and the mystery and the whodunit type themes. I was excited to find this one that we still had it on the shelf, so I picked up All These Bodies by Kendare Blake. And look at that cover, guys. Look at that cover. Isn't that interesting? So this is set in the 1950s, late 1950s, early 1960s. And so it's set in the Midwest, and it follows the story of a family, an entire family that is found slaughtered in a cold case situation within their home, and there's only one witness who is found at the scene, who is not related to them, and she is absolutely just covered in blood, but none of the blood's hers, and she won't talk about what happened in any way, shape, or form. She's gone mute with all of that. And so the son of the local sheriff, who desires to be a journalist and to get out of that little Midwest town, is suddenly the only person that she wants to talk to about what happened during that. So he's got to kind of unravel that mystery of what actually happened that night. Why is she involved, and did she actually do anything? Right. So highly encourage you to check out Kendare Blake's All These Bodies if you like whodunits and mysteries, especially ones that are set in, I would say necessarily historical, but are not necessarily set present day. All right, I can't go through a mystery and thriller young adult live without talking about this author, who I think is one of the current quintessential mystery and thriller authors within the young adult genre. So we've got Karen M. McManus. She wrote One of Us is Lying, and then all the sequels that go along with it, and the connected ones that go along with it that I can't remember. I think Two of Us Can Keep a Secret. Something like, there's secrets in lying and lots of them. This is an unrelated book, but it's her most recent publication. It's called Nothing More to Tell. And I love that, and like basically all of her books, they've got people with the X's across the face. So are they next on the list? Are they ones that have already been taken? Who knows? You got to read to find out, right? Excuse me. So this is a story of a girl. Let me find her name. This is a story of a girl, Bryn. She left her school after her favorite teacher was suddenly found murdered, and the teacher was discovered by 3 other students who don't really talking about what happened. But Bryn feels like there's something more to the story. The case kind of goes cold, and no one is officially charged with anything, and so she wants to find justice for this situation. But while she's investigating, then she kind of gets wrapped up in a lot of the things that are societally wrong within the school, and she starts uncovering deeper and darker secrets the more that she gets involved, and she may become a target throughout this because of her investigation. So highly encourage you to check out Karen M. McManus's Nothing More to Tell if you have any interest in any of those kinds of themes. Well, thanks so much, guys, for watching. That's all that I've got for you today. Like I said, check out our website for more information, and check out the list. I'll make sure that list is posted because I've received word from our tech department that things seem to be working now, so fingers crossed that they actually are. So like us on Facebook if you haven't already done so. Follow us on Twitter and Instagram. A couple of things to put on your calendar and keep at the forefront of your mind for events that we've got coming up. We're still participating in Skeleton Fest and the Where's Skelly Shelley scavenger hunt for kiddos. So make sure when you're down in downtown Marshall, you check out all the cool displays that are within our store and other stores, and see which one is your very favorite. We have another event coming up in Battle Creek. We were just in Battle Creek the other night for the last night market of the season. Thank you for everybody that supported us at the farmers market. But we will be in downtown Battle Creek on October 21st, so next weekend, for the Fall into the Arts celebration of arts. And so go and check that out and check out lots of the local artists and businesses that will be there. We will be outside of Cafe Rica in downtown Battle Creek. So check us out. We're going to have some fun activities and some I wouldn't say necessarily merchandise, but some reminders about things that ways that you can support us and other local businesses while we are there. And so we are going to be having, because it is spooky season, we are going to be having a lot of sales and deals, specifically with our fall related and Halloween related items, and some fun activities coming up a little bit closer to Halloween. So stay tuned for more information on that. Follow us, like I said, on all the social medias. Get signed up for our newsletter so you can become a newsletter insider and get some fun updates and some deals and some ways to save some money, especially diving into the holiday season. Well, thanks so much, guys, for watching. It's been a pleasure, and thanks for choosing us to help you find a new story. Bye, guys.